What is up, my friends? We are live, and I do apologise for being a little bit delayed. The wife had a bit of car trouble, so we were just sorting that in the background, and it was a mad dash right till the last moment. But we are live, we are good, and yeah, apologies again for being late. As I said, Sabrina had a blowout on the motorway in the car, and we were scrambling around because new cars don't like to come with spare wheels, so we had to find a tyre out of hours somewhere, and they were stranded, so just trying to sort all of that one out, but we're good to go, and we're live just about in time, so appreciate your understanding. Again, sorry about the delay on that one. Just a bit of a scramble to get everything sorted. Right. Love the shirt, thank you. The man boobs make me really self-conscious in it. I do love the shirt. I really, 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 really do. But having these man boobs does make me feel a lot of self-awareness. But look, either way, let's get stuck into it tonight because Arna wants some more forwards. So we'll take you through what Arna's been saying, and he says he wants at least one more forward. So I guess I want to know, is that meaning we're getting two, or is it just going to be the one? So let's talk about that. We'll talk about Giovanni Leoni, of course, who's flown in for his medical. He won't be able to play at the weekend, by the way, just in case people were wondering about that one. It had to be registered, I think, by 12 p.m. this afternoon for him to be available. So obviously the club couldn't get it all done and dusted by then. So we'll talk about what that means tonight as well. We will talk about Ibrahim Konate, his future. We'll take you through some of the latest from the Alexander Isak saga as that continues to take some more twists and turns. As long as everyone is safe. They are, thank you. Yeah, they are, thankfully. Do you know what? I've never been more grateful to not be from Dublin, because she was ringing around a couple of Dublin garages up there trying to get somebody to come out and do it, and the prices and the times they were quoting were absolutely scandalous. So the local company here in Guehi, shout out John Bass Tyres, went down to help her out from here, and it was quicker and cheaper than getting somebody in Dublin. So massive love to John Bass Tyres for bailing us out, and really appreciate them looking after my wife as well. Right, so where to start? Where we go with this one? Where are we? Is this tonight or last night? So there was a couple of super chats. I'm not sure if these are from last night or tonight, so let me read through them. If we miss out on Isak and Guehi this summer, does that overshadow the rest of the transfer window? It would, for me. It would. It wouldn't overshadow it entirely, but it would certainly cast a more negative thought process for me on it. But for what it's worth, Chris, I don't think we'll miss out on both of the gentlemen. I think the situation with Mark Guehi, and I've been trying to uncover as much information on this as I can today. The situation with Mark Guehi, from what I can gather, is inextricably linked to the situation with Konate. So we knew when Jarell Kwanzaa was sold that the plan was to bring in a young centre-back. Now, we didn't know who that young centre-back was. We spoke about Jarell Haddo. Obviously, we heard about the likes of Charlie Cresswell, but it became clear then that it was going to be Giovanni Leoni. So the Reds got that done, happy days. But I still don't think we're going to see Guehi come in unless Konate leaves. I might be way off on this, and I'm absolutely open to being off on it. But I think that's the lay of the land. Until we know what Konate wants to do, I don't think Liverpool are going to make the push. Again, maybe you think I'm wrong on this, and if you do, by all means, please do let me know your thoughts on it, because I've been trying to figure it out all day. That's the best I can come up with. Right, DCM said, "Evening, Craig. Do you think Leoni will be part of the first team and trusted by Slot? Hope all is good, brother." So all the reports may suggest, yeah, he's coming in to be part of the first team for the here and now. I certainly would be a liar, dude, if I said I didn't have some questions about that myself. 18-year-old kid coming in, will he really be in the first team? But all reports suggest, yeah. I've seen even the likes of Fabrizio Romano was saying that he has been brought in for the here and now. They were very quick to dispel any rumours of a loan. I think Nicolo Shearer, in the very first report about this deal progressing with Giovanni Leoni, said that the thought process was initially to go back for a loan, but that was quickly dispelled. So yeah, I do think he's going to be part of the first team, which is why I'm more fascinated now by the situation with Mark Guehi and Konate, because if Konate stays, I really don't expect us to go for Mark Guehi, but let's wait and see. I wanted to just say, there was a comment that I didn't get to speak about when I started that I did notice in the chat. Forgive me, I don't remember the name of the poster, but basically the gist of this comment was, Craig, my 7-year-old daughter just got her first Liverpool jersey, or the new Liverpool jersey, and she's singing You Never Walk Alone and looking forward to tomorrow. I meant to reply to it as soon as I started. I'd forgotten. I hope the young lady loves the new shirt, of course, and of course I hope she gets the win we all want tomorrow night for the new season, so do say hello for me. Isak update, please, brother. No problem, sir. No problem. Let me just get my notes in order here for you. So, look, it's been a bit of a weird one on the Isak front today. We see the usual Luke Edwards nonsense posted about, you know, this, that, and the other, and what he could have done, should have done. But ultimately, it does look like, even if he doesn't move to Liverpool, he's played his last game in the Newcastle shirt in his mind. There's a report tonight that said Newcastle believe Liverpool are fit to make another £130 million bid. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. David Ornstein said Newcastle United reached an agreement with Aston Villa to sign Jacob Ramsey, 24-year-old midfielder, in a deal worth £39 million fixed and £5 million in add-ons. The Englishman is travelling for his medical. Now, of course, that isn't a striker, so that's not really going to help us there. But the situation is taking a little bit of a twist. Lee Ryder, who worked for the Chronicle, who I believe are the Echo's sister newspaper up north, said Newcastle are still trying to do the Johan Visa deal and another striker, not helped at all by the uncertainty surrounding Alexander Isak. It is weird because they love to point out that the Isak situation is stopping them from doing other stuff, but it's stopping everybody. Let me read out what Luke Edwards posted today, and I'm going to try and give you my take on it. So this is what Luke Edwards of The Telegraph had to say. Alexander Isak's agent has failed him so badly. I don't condone Isak's behaviour in the slightest, but he was told the move to Liverpool would happen even though they are unwilling to match the valuation, and all he had to do was behave badly to force it through. He's now got a player who has alienated a fan base, tarnished his reputation within football forever, who was probably not going to get the move he was told was his to make. He signed a 6-year contract with no release clause. His agent negotiated that. Trying to force your way out with 3 years left on that deal was always going to be a very risky road to go down, but he did it anyway. Isak might still end up at Liverpool, but the chances are fading now rapidly and have been for weeks. How he repairs the damage remains to be seen, but he will play next season regardless. The sooner he realises the terrible mistake he has made and apologises, the better. Play well, score goals, and you'll get that huge move next summer if that's still what he wants. Now, I've got to say, I think I speak for certainly most Liverpool fans when I say that Luke Edwards has been an embarrassment, the way he's covered this. And it is, again, baiting, in my opinion. And look, this is just my opinion, but I think that he is basically trying to be a mouthpiece for the Newcastle hierarchy, but has contradicted himself left, right and centre. Even in his one post today, he's contradicted himself. He goes on to say he's alienated himself and not going to get the move he was told was his to make, and then finishes off the post by saying he may well get the move. Let me just say this. I cannot wait for Luke Edwards to be wrong, for everybody within football to know he was wrong, and for every Liverpool fan to revisit to tell him he was wrong. Now, he might say, I've won in this, I've gotten attention out of it. And yes, you've probably gotten a few sign-ups to the Telegraph 3 months offer that they put out there. But ultimately, like I've said, journalists have a choice in these matters. They can either be a club lackey and do what the club want them to do, or they can be honest with their readership and have a future. If you want your future as a journalist to be based off feed downs or drip downs from a club, slippery slope, because what you don't have then is the readership that actually know that you're doing what's best for football and you're writing about what's best in the story, not what one side wants you to write. So for me, he's an absolute disgrace. I don't like him. I don't like this piece. I didn't even fucking know he existed before this summer. But the whole summer, he has basically tried to just belittle Liverpool, in my opinion. Look down his nose at Isak and the way this is unfolded. And also, never once seemingly looked at it from the point of view of Alexander Isak and the broken promises that the Newcastle hierarchy, who are in a bit of a mess behind the scenes, have made to the player. It's all very, very one-sided from Luke. And I get it. Maybe maybe Newcastle want that out there. I get it. But once again, we, the footballing public, don't have to just sit back and take this nonsense because it's just bullshit over and over and over again. I'm fed up of it. And I'm sure I speak for many people when I say that. But again, if he wants his reputation as a journalist to be in tatters, carry on doing what you're doing, sir. Right, loads to get through. Breaking, Giovanni Leoni has completed the main part of his medical and signed contract as a new Liverpool player. Exclusive detail in addition, contract will be valid until June 2031. 6-year contract. Now, we said this the other day. It would probably be common sense to stick Leoni in on a 6-year deal because you're bringing in a young talent and somebody who, you know, you would want around for the next 6, 7, 8 years if all goes well. So I was wondering, would we get this 6-year deal? And that confirmation there tonight from Romano, to me, is good. It's common sense. This one from Alex said, free Isak. So what do you guys think of the reporting from Luke Edwards? Now look, I don't know Luke Edwards from Adam, and I'm certainly not trying to run down the Telegraph as a newspaper, but I do think the way he's covered this is very much the coverage from somebody who wants favour with a football club. It doesn't look to me like he's writing this from an objective stance. Look at and contrast him to Craig Hope, who of course covers Newcastle. But I think Craig Hope has covered this situation really well. Yes, there's been a time where you can see maybe he got a little bit hot and bothered in it, but I get that. He's also a Newcastle fan. But I really do admire the way he's covered it. Integrity. Same with the gentleman from Sky Sports News. I think he's covered himself really well. Keith Downey as well. But it just feels like, for me, he's been just baiting Liverpool fans all summer. And, you know, just trying to make a name for himself by dividing opinion so much. That's my take on it. It just looks like shit journalism to me. David Massett said, evening Craig bro and community, living in Italy and watching Italian football, Giovanni Leoni is going to become a special player. It definitely looks like he is a potential superstar for us. You know, I've been speaking to a couple of people behind the scenes and a couple of people in the data industry as well that, you know, track footballers' careers. And it feels like we're getting somebody special. Now, you never want to overly emphasize an 18-year-old kid, but if he turns out to be half the player that's been spoken about, we've got some really good talent on our hands. And yeah, welcome to the football club, Giovanni Leoni. You've joined the greatest football club on the planet, sir, and welcome in. So, also from Fabrizio Romano, just in, Giovanni Leoni met with Arne Slot today, and tomorrow he will be introduced at Anfield as a Liverpool player, which of course will be lovely. The Reds take on Bournemouth tomorrow. It'll be lovely to see Giovanni presented to the Liverpool fans before the game, and welcome to the greatest football club on the planet, Giovanni. Philip said, does Chris Bascombe still work for the Telegraph? Don't hear a lot from him anymore. He's certainly still writing, Chris. I'm not sure which outlet he's with, but I think Chris Bascombe's a fine journalist. Yeah, I always like Chris's work, to be honest. I think he's still with the Telegraph, but he's certainly still writing. Page, I'm 46, but day before the season is still like Christmas Eve. It is. It's so cool. Knowing tomorrow it all kicks off. Like, it felt like a very long summer, Page, with loads of good parts in it for us as well. But it felt like a long time since we've seen Liverpool in competitive action. So I'm really excited. Yeah, I know the Community Shield was last week, but, you know, opinions divided on whether you think that's serious football or not. But tomorrow the fun really starts, and I can't wait, lads. I'm really, like Page said, really excited. It does feel like Christmas Eve. Right, more stuff on Isak anyway. So, Craig Hope of the Daily Mail has said, Alexander Isak does not want to train with the squad, and by extension, that rules him out of all fixtures for the foreseeable future, while the club continue to pay his £140,000 a week wages. As of last week, he had not been disciplined by way of a fine. We understand that will change if he misses a competitive match, as he will this weekend. So, again, all signs in this Isak saga point to no resolution here between Isak and Newcastle. And I know that Liverpool are involved in this. Of course, I'm aware that our interest in Isak has probably, exacerbated this situation. But it would seem like the sensible thing to do now for Newcastle is to get to the point where they talk to Liverpool about the fee, because it looks as if they're headed in the direction where they probably will get Visa over the line quickly. And there's a chain of transfers that are going to come into place to make that happen. And it certainly looks as if Nicholas Jackson is very, very willing, and Chelsea are willing sellers to get that deal done. So if they happen, it's common sense then that Liverpool will come in for Isak. But what we won't do, and I want to again re-emphasise this, you won't see £150 million paid. I don't know where this arbitrary number came from, but it's never a realistic number that anybody that covers the Liverpool side, whether it be journalists, fans, nobody's ever talked about 150 million. That's just not going to happen. Where are we? Mythical Returns. Thank you, mate, for being with us as a member for 24 months. Absolute legend. Dan Roberts said, Mark G, Crystal Palace won cash equals sell now to optimise. Mark would want Champions League wages and contract. Extra year makes no sense for anyone. Why gamble on Ibu? So, for me, Dan, at this point, it doesn't feel like Konate is going to sign the new deal. Now, I don't know whether he is or isn't, but it doesn't feel like it at this point. So, what do Liverpool do? And it seems as if it's going to be Konate or Mark Guehi. And one of those players, we know, wants to come to Liverpool. And one of those players is available for about 35 million. So for me, if Ibu signs a new deal, brilliant. But if we can't get that done, the sensible play is to go and get yourself Mark Guehi. Yeah, you can talk about playing time, but if he's coming in and Konate's not sticking around, then Mark Guehi is going to be the focus. But it just feels to me, until we know Konate's future, this whole Mark Guehi thing is just going to go around in a circle, because it doesn't feel like Liverpool want to commit to bringing in another player. Nor could we give him the guarantees, really, with Leoni coming in now, Gomez there, Van Dijk there, Konate still there. Something has to give. It is a World Cup year, so obviously Mark Guehi is going to want to play a lot. And before we signed Leoni, I could see a world where, yes, you could bring in Mark Guehi, keep Konate, have Virgil and Gomez, and still share around the minutes. But if Giovanni Leoni is going to be a here and now player, I don't think you could say that to Mark Guehi anymore. So I think it's going to come down to one or the other. Christian, that is so lovely, mate. Thank you. I mean, I don't deserve the super chats we've been getting lately. Honestly, I finished last night and I said to my wife again, I don't know what's happening, but people are so lovely and so kind. No more so than yourself. Hi Craig, could you please record some bedtime stories about Liverpool so I can fall asleep to them? You've created a juggernaut on social media. Keep it up, sir. We have created a juggernaut's a cool word, by the way. I love that. But we've created a Christian. All of us. I don't come in here and talk to myself every night. You guys are here. You guys come in and share the love. And do you know what's really funny? I don't know how this happened. I don't know how it ended up on my house, Christian. I don't even know what the book was. But I had an audio book when I was, I want to say about 12. And it was an audio book that was read by a Liverpool legend. It was read by Emlyn Hughes, Crazy Horse. And I used to listen to it at night, going to bed. I can't remember what the book was, but now that you mentioned that, it just brought back a memory of Emlyn Hughes reading that book out. And I still don't know where it came from, because nobody in my house was big football fans apart from me. But somehow ended up with that Emlyn Hughes one, and it kind of just reminded me of what you'd said there. I don't think anybody needs to listen to my voice going to sleep. You probably get nightmares, Christian. But thank you so much for an incredible comment, and of course a really, really generous super chat, mate. That is epic. Thank you. Dan, we've done that one. Patrick, this transfer window was better than Christmas. It was better than my Christmas anyway, dude. Maybe when you're younger and you're getting loads of prezzies, but when you're at the dad age and you're hoping for Links Africa, that's a win. If you get some Links Africa, yeah, it definitely feels better than Christmas. I agree. This one. Shame Isak didn't have the release clause in his contract before he went to Newcastle. It would save much time. What do you think? Look, some clubs don't like release clauses in deals, and I think Liverpool would be one of those. It always feels, I know some countries like Spain, legally, there has to be a release clause in a contract, but it always feels like you're never getting a buy-in from a player if there's a release clause in it. So let's say we sign somebody, let's say Isak, just for the conversation, and Isak wanted £120 million release clause in it. I don't know about you, but for me as a fan, you're thinking he already is thinking about that next step or moving away from the club. And he wants that guarantee in there. Now, I can see why a player would do it. Haaland had it in his deals as well. And like I said, in Spain and other countries, you have to have them in your contract. But it never just feels like a show of faith, does it, when a player's coming in if there's a release clause in there? It always feels like the clock's ticking about this guy maybe exiting. Can we see Konate out and Guehi in at Christmas? Why would we do that, though? That doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to make the swap, do it now, or wait till the end of the season. So for me, the only two avenues for this to progress are sell Konate now, bring in Mark Guehi, or let Konate run down his deal and get Mark Guehi on what would essentially be a free, although of course the signing on bonuses and stuff would have to be there. So yeah, I don't see that one as being a Christmas thing. Doesn't make sense to me. Craig, Connor went in goal for 5 minutes today and conceded 7 goals. What's your opinion on this? Shame, mate. That's my opinion, Adam. Shame. Between that and the lad showing up with shin guards for five-a-side, Adam, I might have to have a hard drive check done here because something there doesn't feel right, Adam. Does it? 7. So I'm gonna have to see now. I'm gonna have to have a look at that, mate. I need proof that he conceded 7 in 5 minutes. Harry, how are you? Leoni at Anfield after full time, number 32. Leoni at Anfield will be there tomorrow. Probably the unveiling before the game or a half time, like you've said. Can't wait. Another great signing for the future brought in. Schoolsy said, personally, don't rate Konate too much. I'd rather we went for Guehi this window. So, look, I do like Ibrahima Konate. I do. But the way I think about this is I'm not going to lose a minute's sleep if he goes. I wouldn't put Konate in the bracket of player that would worry me if we lost. Especially when you're talking about a potential change there for Mark Guehi, who I think, much of a muchness between them. Different attributes, different pluses and minuses, but either way, 2 good, solid defenders. So it's something I'm quite relaxed about. I don't know how everybody else feels. I don't want to throw Konate under the bus and say I don't like him at Liverpool, or I do think Konate's been really good here, but I'm easy about how it's resolved as long as we aren't left short, and bringing in Leoni means that we're probably not going to be left short. Stevie Simpson said, from what I've seen, Giovanni Leoni, Rolls Royce, Ibu Konate, roller skates. If he goes, he goes. No sleep lost. Welcome, Leoni. You made the right decision. Yeah, and it was lovely to hear as well, Stevie, that he wanted to come to Liverpool. Like, we know Leoni had options in Italy, but he really wanted to move to Liverpool. And it's a brave move. At 18 years of age, it's a brave move for him. So, fair play. Right, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you straightforward who you prefer. 1 second. Right, 1 second. Okay. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Right. Who would you rather partner Virgil van Dijk? Konate or Guehi? Just out of curiosity. I know we as fans can't dictate what happens here, but just out of curiosity. Which one would you rather? If you could have either right now, which one? I'm genuinely intrigued to see, because I've gone back and forth with this in my mind a few times. But ultimately, I think I'd come down on the side of Mark A for consistency. Alex McCall. Gordon starting up for Toon. Hidden spark. It is weird seeing him up top. If you look at that Newcastle team, though, and I've said this a few times, it's a really good team. Like, I know they haven't got a striker up top, but if you look at their midfield, they're not too far away. So a bit of good business, and they won't be too far off. Too far off, I mean, competing again for the European places. It's not ideal, though, is it? Having him up top. I mean, we had Luis Diaz up top on occasion last season. I would say he probably plays the role a little bit better than Gordon, but they do have the likes of Harvey Barnes there as well. So, yeah. I don't know. It just feels... No, I don't see that working longer term for Newcastle. Dave, you sorted the ticket. Happy days. Thank you for letting me know. Right, Zach said Luke Edwards or Arteta. Which one winds me up more? Arteta. Like, Luke Edwards will become irrelevant to me again in a few weeks' time. Probably won't have to listen to him, look at him, or pay attention to him again. But unfortunately, Mikel Arteta is somebody that I still have to look at every single week. And his voice alone winds me up. Why did Romano say that Leoni will be announced this week and not in the next 24 hours? That's not what I read out a second ago. He said Giovanni Leoni met Slot today, and tomorrow he'll be introduced at Anfield as a Liverpool player. So, I don't know. Maybe he said it somewhere else, but that's the phraseology I have. Also, he's completed the main part of his medical and signed as a Liverpool player. Exclusive detail, in addition, the contract will be valid for 6 years. So, I've not seen nothing to say this week, but again, it could be just a language thing or a choice of phrase from Romano. Chad, how are we? How are you doing today, Craig? We lose Salah and Endo for a while this year, don't we? I can't remember about the Endo. Is the Asian Championship on as well? Salah, obviously, yes, we lose for, I think, 6 Premier League games, Chad. Depending on, obviously, how far Egypt go. I would think we need Isak and another winger. You're the best, buddy. Take care of the family. Thank you, sir. And I got the shipping alert as well from DHL today, Chad, so thank you for that, mate. I want to read you out what Arne has been saying about it. He said, when asked about Ugo Ekitike and Isak, he said, I see Hugo mainly as a number 9, but that can also play from the left or together with another number 9. We need to have one more attacker at least. And that's the manager saying this now. We need to have one more attacker at least, said Arne. So what do we think about that from the manager? It's the at least part that really does have me intrigued, because of course we know the plan is to try to get Alexander Isak. But I also wonder, are we going to see a last minute additional player brought in when Chiesa leaves? It could be a bit of a dash at the end of the window, but I get a feeling there's something maybe happening. Something maybe happened with an extra body. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I'm thinking somebody like a Malik Fofana, by the way, not somebody like a Rodrigo or anything like that. Craig, have you seen Jones' celebration on Twitter? I did, Corey. One of the guys in our Discord group, Mohammed, posted it, or was it Mahmood? Mahmood posted it, and I didn't get the reference of it at first because I'd just seen it as a still image, but Connor told me he was doing a Premier League celebration in a video and he did the Isak one. So, yeah, it's certainly not a bad look, is it? It's not something you do lightly. So, yeah, it's definitely a nice little wink and a nod there. It's kind of like the VVD look when Arne Slot was shaking hands with Mark A in the tunnel at Wembley. Is there an Anfield Agenda FPL league? There is, Fahim. The link should be in the description of the stream, mate. Eddie, how are you today, sir? Lovely to see you as always. Said, I don't know whether you know this, but Louis said earlier on that Mark Guehi wanted his future sorted out by the start of the season. Lewis Steele, is that what you said? Lewis Steele wanted sorted out by the start of the season. Well, that ain't gonna happen, is it? You know, one way or the other. His season starts tomorrow. Starts for him at the weekend. Um, I don't know, Eddie. I've said this all the way through the centre back situation. I don't know what way this goes because I don't know what way Konate's head is. You know, if we knew what Konate was going to do or wanted to do, I think this could become a bit clearer. But for me, now that Leoni's in, it's going to be either Mark Guehi or Konate. I can't see both of them being at the club by the 1st of September. I think one of them will be. Which one it is, I wouldn't dare to guess at this point. I don't know. Right, so we did ask and we still have it running. Which one would you rather partner Virgil van Dijk? Ibrahim Konate or Mark Guehi? Where else we got? I want to just get straight to this one because thank you. I'm really scared to wear the shirt because I feel really, really self-conscious about my man boobs, which, you know, I may need an operation to remove. And it all came, ironically, from when I lost weight. Obviously, putting the weight on in the first place, but it really makes me self-conscious because I don't do the jersey justice. It's an incredibly cool shirt, and I love it. But as you can see, you know, it makes me really paranoid wearing it. But you're all very kind, so thank you. But it is a class shirt. I do love it, like, especially the badges on the arm. The gold badge. I love it. Right. Patrick, my kid is already watching your videos with me. Just wanted to say thank you for creating this amazing community. That is awesome, Patrick. That is, excuse my language, that is fucking awesome. You know, as a dad, I know these little moments and what they mean. And, you know, myself and my son have some little things we do together and things that make us laugh together. And, you know, to be maybe a small part of you and your young lad watching the videos together, that's awesome. I'm so honoured to be part of your life, mate. Thank you. The real Johnny Sins. Me and you got to get together, mate. Make a video someday. Do you know what I mean? The real Johnny. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not one of those type of videos, though, that you're, you know, accustomed to. Craig, I'm concerned. Why do we let Parma put in a sell-on clause for Leoni? Does that mean we intend to sell him for profit after a few years? So, I'm going to be honest and say this is the first I'm hearing of the sell-on clause. I'm not saying you're not right. I'm just being genuinely sincere in that I never heard about the sell-on clause. So, why would it be put in? I guess maybe to keep the initial purchase price down. And if you're Liverpool, you're signing this kid for the long term and you hope that he's a Liverpool player in 6, 7, 8, 9 years and the release clause or the sell-on clause doesn't really come in to fruition. But I guess we got to be honest about this as well, right? We love to insert them when we're selling a player. So maybe this is just the way the world is going with regards to these type of transfers. If you want to get the likes of a Giovanni Leoni or the best young talent out of other clubs, maybe this is, you know, a necessary evil in the negotiations. It's a 10% sell-on clause. Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that. As I said, I am playing a little bit of catch-up tonight because I was running around trying to help the missus get sorted out with that flat tyre. So, Stargirl said, should sign Guehi. If Konate wants to run down his contract, just make Guehi the main defender with Virgil. I'd sell Konate, but can't force him to leave. So that's certainly my viewpoint on this. I have no time for people who don't want to be at the club. And what I mean by that is, I'd have no problem bringing in Mark Guehi and letting Konate sit in the bench for a year. As a person, I wouldn't be bothered by that at all. But I can't see the club doing it as much as I agree with the theory of it. I'm pausing because I don't want to speak too much when I don't know the situation. With Trent, I knew what he wanted to do. Everybody knew what he wanted to do. It was clear he wanted out. I don't want to disrespect Konate because it's been quiet. And he hasn't really been saying much, and there hasn't been much really from the Madrid side lately. And truth is, I don't know what way it goes. So I don't want to go in on a player when I could wake up tomorrow and he could sign a new contract. But what I struggle to comprehend, Stargirl, is why any player, especially a player that's already at the club, would want to leave or wouldn't feel that they can achieve at least their professional ambitions at Liverpool. If it's a financial thing, again, that's a different conversation. It's still a fair conversation, but a different conversation. Evening, sir. Whatever happens to Konate, would it not be better to bring in Mark Guehi now, get him settled with the squad? Mate, no argument for me, 2Tom4, and I would dare say the chat as well. We go back a few weeks, right, and we're having conversations and we're asking each other how many defenders we need. And I must have ran 4 or 5 polls on it. And every night it was 2. Everybody thought 2 defenders was what was required. So I don't disagree with your stance whatsoever, but it doesn't seem to be something that Arne thinks is necessary. But again, can't argue with your logic or the way you've tried to present it. Makes sense. You do want players in for the battle. You want them ready. And Mark Guehi is a top quality player. And I would have no problems having him around as well as Konate. But I just don't see this happening. Excuse me. Right, let's check. We'll leave that one run a little bit longer. If you can, do vote in this poll for us, because I'm genuinely intrigued to see where your heads are at. Who would you rather partner Virgil van Dijk, Konate, or Mark Guehi? Jad, said, what about buying Rodrigo and selling Gakpo this season? So then we would be into too much change, in my opinion, especially in attack. We've lost Diaz. You can't sell Gakpo as well in the same window. Even if you were bringing in somebody as good as Rodrigo, I would say we're at a point then in attack where there's too much change. It's on a knife edge at the minute, to be honest, in the attack. I think the fact that we've added more quality around in midfield and stuff as well maybe gives us a little bit more breathing room for some changes in attack. But yeah, I couldn't see that happening, my man. I couldn't know. Just be too much change at that point. And also, and maybe I'm on my own here, I don't want to sell Cody Gakpo. I like Cody Gakpo. Yes, there are times where I think maybe we could do with a different look on the left-hand side. Maybe somebody who takes on his man every now and again. But as an option and as part of the team, I really like Cody. Where am I at? Right, Christopher said, hey Craig, it's a Champions League final. Who do you think slot would start next to Virgil, Konate or Guehi? In a Champions League final, no doubt in my mind whatsoever, Mark Guehi. Because in such a big game, at least this is my thought process. In such a big game, if I'm Arne, I'm going to look and I'm going to think, what do I want here? And what I want is calmness, no mistakes, and keeping it tight. Because they're always difficult occasions. So I want calm, level heads. And that's why I go with Mark Guehi in that scenario. There is every chance that maybe Konate could put in a better display. But there's also, in my mind, every chance that he does something rash. So I would go for Mark Guehi in that scenario in the Champions League final. And I would probably hedge my bets to say that Arne would probably have a similar thought process. Tony said, Craig, loving the shirt. Makes you hench, my man. I don't know what hench is, but thank you. I'm such a boomer in some things, man. I don't know what that word means, but I tell you what, one of my favourite things, Tony, about the shirt is this shade of red. I love it. I think Adidas have nailed it. And the gold badge for me on the arm does make a difference. It really sets the shirt off. Johnny39 said, I'd like Guehi to come in. Whilst I like Konate, I think he can be a bit donkey-ish. Konate can be brilliant. I certainly don't want this to sound like let's all go in on Ibrahim Konate, because Konate has been a really good servant to the football club and a really good partner for Virgil van Dijk. But this isn't something I'm saying now that I haven't said all the way through the season. Like, go back and watch many, many watch-alongs, and I'll say the same thing. Konate makes me nervous. He has traits that always make me feel like he's a rash challenge away from a red or just something that we could do without. And again, I'm not saying that's backed up by numbers, just how I feel watching him. So I wouldn't say Konate is anywhere near to being the complete centre-back yet. And that's why I've been so adamant that I don't think he deserves £200,000 a week. Because Virgil, to get that £200,000 a week, was at 27, 28 and in his prime and one of the best players in the world. I don't think Konate's at that level yet. So for me, going from 80 grand a wage to 200 grand a week just always felt too much. Krister said Carragher's comments is kind of weird about Isak to Liverpool. Also funny that they didn't slate Gyökeres for doing the same thing as Isak on Stick to Football. So, on the situation with Carragher, I found it funny because there was talk of, he said 150 million euros Kylian Mbappe money or 150 million pounds Kylian Mbappe money, when it really isn't. Like, if Kylian Mbappe was to be put up for sale by Madrid tomorrow, it's 350, 400 million, most likely. But I do get the point he was trying to make. But ultimately, I don't care as long as the manager gets the player he wants. So what Carragher thinks or what I think doesn't really matter one jot. What matters is that Arne Slot will have said, this is what I'd like. And we know the finances are there to do it. So do it. And then we can talk about it. If at the end of the season, we haven't won or done as well as we think the squad should have done, then we can have that conversation. But right now, we're short. Arne wants this particular guy. Go get that guy. Asian Cup not till Saudi 2027. Thank you, the Wonderman. Appreciate that. Thank you for the heads up. What have we got? Aerial Jules 1, Konate 72, Guehi 50. So, firstly, Jeremy, I'm going to tell you why any statistic you're going to throw at me is irrelevant. Because you're not comparing apples with apples. So, even the amount of aerial duels that teams will come up against playing for Liverpool and playing for Crystal Palace, they're going to be a lot different. I would dare to say Crystal Palace have to do a lot more defending than Liverpool do. And yes, they are all Premier League stats you're probably talking about, but it's not comparing apples with apples, because one of the most important things for me when you come to a club like Liverpool, and I think we learned this with Simon Mignolet, is you have to be able to be switched on all the time, even at times when it's really quiet and you don't have much to do. You need to stay focused and switched on. And that's one of the things that's impressed me most about Mark Guehi, is that he's in the zone. He's zoned in. He was the best defender on the park in the Community Shield for me. And I just think, for me, I don't talk stats much on here because I amn't qualified to give you full context of how these stats can and can't be used. So I try to just leave that to the professionals. But I can also give you stats if you want to make any side of this argument sound better. So, the eye test for me, maybe I'm old school, but it still does hold a lot of water with me. Still feel we need a midfielder to cover Ryan Gravenberch. Understandable, Tony. Understandable. I'm a bit more relaxed about that than I think a lot of people. I understand the thought process, and certainly it's not mad or greedy. But if you look at who we have in the squad, I think between Maka and Ryan, you can cover the position. I know Endo can play there, but I always speak about the fact that it's played differently when Endo plays the role. But I do think Maka is a good option there. But again, would I complain if we got an Angelo Stiller or somebody else? No, I totally get where you're coming from. We we don't have a whole lot of cover in that position. But if the manager wanted to be Trey Leoni or the manager wanted it to be Stefan Bajcetic, I'd also have no problem with that. But it's one of the things I haven't personally heard Arne talk much about. John Edinger, lovely to see you, sir. Thank you for being with us as a member for 9 months. Craig, my shirt finally came at the door. Nice. So there's a box out in my hall, and I don't know what it is. I haven't had a chance to get to it yet today. There's a big brown box in the hall. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but yeah, I do love when the postman drops in stuff. So enjoy, and hope you like the shirt. Rusba, what is the likelihood of us getting Isak? Again, I know people are probably sick of me giving the same answer, but it all comes down to Newcastle getting a striker. So if you said to me, Craig, Newcastle have a striker, I'm going to say to you 100%. I've no doubt that if Newcastle bring in reinforcements, he will go. He won't go for 150 million because, again, that's a number that just isn't going to happen. But I'm really, 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 really confident this happens as long as Newcastle get a striker. But what I find very interesting is this belief, or at least this insistence from Isak, that even if the move to Liverpool doesn't happen, he's not playing for Newcastle again. Now, I don't know if he'll hold that, or if the move didn't happen, if eventually he'd find a way to make some peace and apologise. I don't know Alexander Isak well enough to know the answer to that, but certainly feels like he thinks he's played his last game for Newcastle and is acting in such a way. Imagine Adidas have sent you merch. No, they haven't, unfortunately. As much as I don't even need free shit from them. An email from Adidas to go, we see you, Craig. We got you. That's all I want. Don't want freebies. I'm not entitled or anything. I just it'd be the dream to have Adidas go, we seen you when Liverpool were Nike. You were still repping Adidas. Hairline Harry said, hey Craig, this doesn't help this season, but if Konate does leave on a free next year, then Guehi would also be free if he doesn't sign a new contract. He would, but he wouldn't, because there wouldn't be a transfer fee, but there would be fee. So let's just say Mark A doesn't go this year. Well, Mark A's agent is very, very quickly going to tell whoever wants to sign him on a free that he wants, I don't know, let's just say a £15 million signing on fee. And his wages would also bump up a little bit higher. So there's no such thing as a free transfer in football. There's always, somebody with a handout to take money off the clubs. So that's why I said I understand it in theory, but again, financially, it's not a free transfer. Have you seen the third kit? Oh, God, yes. Yeah, that's the one that has me the most excited, Stevie, all summer. I've been waiting for the green kit. It's the one I'm going to get the Champions League badges on. That's the one for me. That's the one that as soon as it leaked, I was super excited. That and all the training gear that will accompany it. Sicily Bambolina, how are you, my friend? Lovely to see you this evening. Said, shirt looking great, thank you. What number am I wearing? None. Didn't get a name and number on it. Don't really have a reason I didn't get name and number, to be honest. I've no mad problem with adults getting it right now. I just didn't. Just got the gold badge on it. What have you got? You usually wear 97, previously 96, and our own names, but strongly consider 20 Diogo this time. Yeah, I can totally understand the Diogo one. And also, the money from the printing of the Diogo Jota 20 ones are all going to the Liverpool Foundation. So it will, again, be reinvested in good charitable causes. So, a positive all around there. For me, if I was getting one, I'm not going to lie, it'd be Mac at 10, 100%. If I was going to get a jersey with a name and number, it's Mac at 10. I love Alexis McAllister, huge fan of his. And actually, I hope that what's in the hole is a framed Argentina McAllister shirt that I ordered a while back. I'm hoping that that's what's in that box in the hall, but I haven't had a chance to check it yet. Shane said, horrible shirt. Shane's a United fan. A good United fan, but a United fan nonetheless. Cautiously optimistic for the new season. I do think we beat Arsenal on Sunday. I don't know why, but I'm very confident. I'm intrigued, Shane. Obviously I don't want you lads to do well, but I am genuinely intrigued to see how you get on this season. I mean, I was looking at some of the predictions. Matt, the guy that runs some of our social media for us, he was sent me some of the predictions that were sent. And like Chris Waddle, right? Let me read you through some of these predictions because I don't know what the hell these people are smoking. But Chris Waddle has Chelsea to win the Premier League, Arsenal to finish second, Man City to finish third, and Liverpool to finish fourth. What? No, I'm not saying Chris Waddle has to say Liverpool are going to win the league, but fourth? Chris, come on. Fourth? Behind Chelsea, Arsenal, and City? Fourth? With the business that we've done? Madness. Joe Hart has Manchester City winning the league. Shock horror. Former City player has them winning the league. Liverpool second, Chelsea third, Arsenal fourth. Michael Brown, Man City to win the league. Liverpool second, Chelsea third, Arsenal fourth. Steph Houghton, Manchester City to win the league. Liverpool second, Arsenal third, Chelsea fourth. Paul Robinson, former goalkeeper, Man City to win the league. Liverpool second, Arsenal third, Chelsea fourth. Nedum Anua, former Manchester City player, City to win the league. Liverpool second, Chelsea fourth, Arsenal third. Now, nobody seems to think that the charges still hanging over Manchester City's heads might have something to play here. This is what I don't understand. It feels like everybody's just forgotten about them and that it may not have an impact on City's players, the club, behind the scenes whatsoever. And I don't actually think their business has been incredible either. And Rodri's, had a delay in his comeback as well. I just don't get it. I don't see all of those predictions for City to win the league. But what I really don't get is Chris Waddle's. That is absolute poo of the highest order. Fourth. Fuck off. Kieran. Thank you, mate. Kieran Monarch. Appreciate you. Right. So, over 3,000 votes. 70% of over 3,000 people that voted would like Guehi to partner Virgil van Dijk ahead of Ibrahima Konate. So 7 out of every 10 people that voted. That is interesting. I agree for what it's worth. Stargirl said, if we get him, he could be our future captain. Mark Guehi, he could be. Yeah, he certainly has leadership written all over him, in my opinion. So I thought about it like this. If we brought in Mark Guehi, you've got a 24-year-old, maybe 25-year-old Mark Guehi and an 18-year-old Giovanni Leoni. And if Virgil hangs up his boots or moves on in 2 seasons, you'd have a 27-year-old Mark Guehi and a 20-year-old Giovanni Leoni. That could be your centre-back pairing for the next 5-6 years after that again. So this is brilliant succession planning from Liverpool. And look, if Konate stays, same thing applies, Konate and Giovanni Leoni, but it really is clever. And I'm really impressed with the way we're going about it. Chris Waddle is just sad because he's a Newcastle supporter. It's just madness. There's just no sense to that at all. I'm not saying everybody has to have Liverpool winning the league, but fourth, I don't think, speaking to even an average Joe Soap football fan out there, that anybody would say fourth for Liverpool. Top 3 is surely got to be guaranteed for us this season. Carl, how are we, sir? I was thinking about the aerial duel stat at the weekend of Guehi and was laughing as he didn't miss much in the air when called upon, did he? Look, it's been a stat, to be fair, that's been spoken about. Even when I've spoken with journalists, or when I spoke with David Lynch, a year ago, about Mark Guehi, and we were, tossing back and forth the idea of whether he'll come in at some point. The aerial duel success rate was certainly the biggest factor that many of us would hold against the idea of him. But all I can say, Carl, is when I watch Mark Guehi on the pitch, he doesn't look like he's lacking in much to me when I watch him. 90% of the pundits are bell ends. Certainly some questionable takes that are always out there. Yeah, some questionable ones. Do you have a fantasy football team for us to join? There is one in, I think, Kieran, in the description of the stream. There should be fantasy football. Mark could post a link into the chat as well. Don't forget, by the way, tomorrow for our player ratings, if you'd like to submit your player ratings, you need to be signed up to the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, as that's where we're going to post them in. So if you'd like to join us for the player ratings or have your player ratings included, please make sure you scan that QR code and join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, because that's where we'll be posting them. The link, I should say, to put them in. Where are we at? So I want to go back to some more news. Bear with me. Right, so bit of good news here. And it's not Liverpool related, but it is good news. So, verbal agreement reached between Bournemouth and Brentford for Dango Utara. 40 million euro plus bonuses. Now, of course, this is important because that will give Brentford, the ability to now let go of Johan Visa. So, what's this? True Geordie keeps crying, says he wouldn't feel sympathy if Isak had a career-ending injury. So, I look, I can't speak for Brian or on Brian's behalf. I don't know if Brian said that or if he didn't say it. If he did say it, I'm sure it's somebody said in anger, because I don't think anybody in the footballing world would wish an injury or career-ending injury on anybody. But look, it's not for me to speak for other people, or, I don't know. It's not something I'd ever say about a player. But disappointing if someone said that about a footballer, but not really my place to talk about it. So yeah, just not something I'd say. I've probably been close to saying something on a few occasions with a few things over the years, but yeah, I always managed to bite my tongue on it because I don't know, just I don't know. So I'm going to say this hypothetically because I haven't seen the clip, but if anybody involved in football as a fan or a pundit or a channel says that they have no sympathy for a player with a career-ending injury, I just don't think that's a good look. It isn't. Even allowing for frustrations and anger about how we deal with these situations. I'd walk off a show if I heard somebody say that in front of me. Whether it's a Liverpool player, United player, I wouldn't want to be a part of that, and I'd walk off a stream if that was happening, because I just think it's going too far. And this is coming from me, who runs my mouth all the time, but I'd never ever wish or try to stand over a career-ending injury for somebody. Just, yeah, not something I can condone. Right, so Romano said, the deal is absolutely on for Mark Guehi. Absolutely on. But I will say this, and this is aimed at Brian. This is aimed at, some of the reaction from the Newcastle fans. I am looking forward to the I told you so smug moment. I'd be a liar if I sat here and told you that I haven't visualised my smirking if we get Isak, and that I won't enjoy every fucking second of the wind-up. Again, not aimed at any one person in particular, and, certainly I have nothing but fondness for True Geordie, because he's always been really good to me and always treated me really well, and I like him. But the Geordies have been colourful, shall we say, for this scenario, and I'm really looking forward to my smugness when we get Isak. I'm looking forward to it. Right, so again on this one, The deal is absolutely on for Mark Guehi, says Romano. Absolutely on. Does that mean we're going to find out soon that Konate is absolutely going to be going? Um, what do we think? What do we think in the chat? Yes or no? Do we think if we sign Mark Guehi, that's an indication that we're going to lose Konate? What if it was about somebody evil like Sergio Ramos? I'd never wish it on anybody, because firstly, it's a game of football. These aren't lads who are out there hurting members of the general public or doing something to change the course of history in the negative way for us all. They're footballers, and it's a job. So when anybody goes on a football pitch or into a boxing ring, you want them home safe with their family. Well, you might not disagree with them, you might not like their way they go on, but I certainly would never wish intentional harm on somebody, even Sergio Ramos, who I don't have much time for. Where are we at? Arthur said Chelsea's bid for Ibu sounds better than him going to Real Madrid for free, but it's still going to be a big six rival. Would you mind him staying in the Prem or going abroad? Again, it would feel really weird to me. Let's just talk the Chelsea one for a second. If Ibrahima Konate went to Chelsea and that was agreed and he moves there, it's very clear why he's moving. Money. Because with all due respect to Chelsea, who are building something really good and certainly have a good plan there and have made some good signings, you're not going to tell me that he's more chance of winning stuff there than at Liverpool. You might tell me you might think they're on the same level, fair enough, but it's not a step forward in your career to go from a Liverpool at the moment to a Konate, or to a Chelsea, sorry. It's not a step forward. With Madrid, you might have the argument, wants to try another environment, wants to try another league, wants to try another culture. You can make that argument. But if it was to another Premier League club, it would be clear it was always a money thing. And again, no judgment. Players are entitled to go after as much pay as they want. But it just would be very clear to me that that's what it was about then. Suleiman said, I think we should still keep Konate even if we get Guehi until January just to see how it works out. I don't think that's something you could sell to the players because it's a World Cup year and one of them wouldn't be getting enough game time in this scenario. And I don't think you'd be able to sell that to the players. And then the likelihood of them being willing to move on in January is slim to none as well, because they're not going to up sticks in the middle of a World Cup season to go to a new club, to settle in and try to get used to the manager's way of playing and impress their national team managers. It just doesn't make any sense to do it in January. George said, I'm ready for the fantasy season. Oh, dude, I'm ready to be bang average, like I always am in FPL. Lower middle table is usually where I finish. Scouser Ned said, Hi Craig, I know we're all excited about the next few potential signings. Tomorrow the season starts proper and I cannot wait. Dude, I'm like you. The signings are all great, but ultimately the fun starts tomorrow. Like everybody said in the chat, it feels like Christmas, and I'm so excited. Wake up tomorrow, put out a news video in the afternoon, and then I know at 6:45 I get to come on and we start the season proper. So excited for it. Yeah, really, really. I love that we're kicking off on a Friday night for us this season. It's going to be brilliant. Frederick said, Hi Craig, did you watch the video of Newcastle fan Adam Pearson where he called you out? He wasn't happy with you calling out the fan base. So, did I watch it? No. Did I hear about it? Yes. I suppose you want my opinion on it. I think the fact that I don't know who the fuck he is and he's making videos about me tells you everything you need to know about this scenario. And I don't know what he said or didn't say because, as I said, I haven't watched it. But I know what I've been subjected to by some Newcastle fans. So I know that everything that I've said and pushed back towards with Newcastle fans has been deserved and hasn't crossed the line. But I also know that these fucking wet wipes are uberly sensitive, and one, can't tell sarcasm when they see it, and two, have finally probably dawned on themselves that they aren't a big club as much as they want to convince themselves that they are. And this has been their moment in the spotlight, and they've made a fucking show of themselves. You know, not just to Liverpool fans. Ask United fans how Newcastle fans were around the Sesko situation. So they can continue to make videos about me all they want. Ultimately, I don't know who they are. I don't give a fuck about their opinion, and that's pretty much it. Couldn't give a fuck. Crack on. But just always remember one thing. If you ever cross my path and we see each other, I do remember these things, and I'm not shy about holding you to account for them. So if anybody has anything to say about me behind the camera like Billy Big Bollocks, crack on. But I do my talking in person. So best hope whatever you have to say about me doesn't go too far, because I'm not the type of person to see you and ask for an explanation. I'm the type of person to see you and choke you. So let's wait and see. Like I said, crack on making your videos, but they're a sensitive little bunch, and they're doing my job for me, so I win. Lee Watkin, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Hey Craig, as a season ticket holder, we'll miss all tomorrow. Love your channel and clips podcast. Thank you, bro. Well, enjoy it, Terry. Very jealous. You know, I'd love to be in your position, mate, to be a season ticket holder, but I'm delighted that parts of our community, like yourself, mate, are going to be there tomorrow, and enjoy it. Enjoy it, my man. I'm sure it's going to be. I'm just going to be a good game, actually, as well. You know, usually when we play Bournemouth, they're good open affairs. So I think Arna was right when he said we beat them 3-0 last season, but you know they had a goal ruled out early doors, and that game could have gone a little bit differently. So yeah, enjoy it though. Enjoy it, Terry, and yeah, thank you for dropping in. I know you aren't worried, but even so, wouldn't he's full of crap. Look, I haven't seen the video, like I said. People are entitled to have opinions on me all they want. That's no probs. You know, I'm not going to be running around demanding answers or retribution for it. I don't even know who some of these people are. But apparently they think they know everything about me based off a clip, and crack on. Like I said, you do you. I hope I'm getting some views from, you know, at least. Mark, seems Newcastle are obsessed with stopping Isak joining us. So obsessed they forgot he is asked to leave. Yeah, I know, but it's also funny to me, Mark, that I don't see the same level of vitriol in the media about Johan Visa. It's almost as if there's a load of hypocrites out there. And I know I'm a hypocrite. I've openly expressed this many times. But to all the Newcastle fans who are burning their Isak shirts and crying on phone-in shows and making videos about big bad Liverpool fans, where's all the outrage for Johan Visa, who is doing a similar thing but on a much smaller scale to get a move to Newcastle? You know, I don't see the column inches being dedicated to that. I don't see Merson and all the other mouthpieces who are very quick to throw Isak under a bus and belittle him. Don't see the same level of energy out there for Johan Visa. It's almost as if they're all just pushing an agenda, isn't it? Colour me shocked. Cheers. Come across the pond to Anfield at night in January for a game. Per your suggestion, finally a centre-back, happy days. That's class. I think you'll love it. You know, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, Anfield under the lights, there's just something special, something different about it, and I love it. So I hope you have a great trip, and yeah, there's something nice in the winter air as well. It will be cold in January, my man. It will be cold, but I'm delighted for you. Do make sure you let me know afterwards how you get on and if you enjoyed the experience. It's all an agenda for these Liverpool haters. That's it. Like I said, I try to talk about these things with sincerity and common sense where possible. But you can't help but notice that when it comes to Liverpool, and maybe United fans feel the same about their club, there's a different level of coverage when Liverpool are involved in something. You know, whether it be the Trent situation, you know, that was absolutely everybody piling in on Liverpool fans. Nobody having a go with the greasy little fucker who wanted to just run away and throw 20 years of a club that gave him opportunities down the drain. No one had any problems with that. We were all supposed to stand and applaud. But where's the same level of energy? Media, Merson, Sky, where is it? Where is the same? I don't turn on TV at night and see anything about Johan Visa. Nothing. But I have to hear about fucking Isak every single day of the week. I have to hear about poor Geordies being butthurt about Isak not wanting to play for them every day of the week. But I don't have to hear anything about these fucking hypocrites wanting Johan Visa to come in. You know, I don't remember them when they were all standing around when they were bought by Saudi, laughing at the rest of us, saying, hey, we're now the richest club in the world. The fuck you are. You may have the richest owners, but that doesn't mean twiddly shit when you can't spend because of PSR. I don't remember, again, them being so sensitive around that time. But now all of a sudden, when the realization is dawning on them that they ain't that club, now they're a little bit hurt. Now they're a little bit angry. Boo fucking who? Simple. Don't like it, don't care. It's the truth. And it's been shocking throughout the entire summer. Absolutely shocking. You are not a big club. You might get there, but you aren't now. And like I said a month ago, and I mean this sincerely, take it however you want, but know your fucking place. Simple as that. Know your place. And I mean that both to wind you up and sincerely. Let's look at the situation. Some clubs understand where they are in the pecking order and act accordingly. Liverpool weren't always the Liverpool that you see now. The Liverpool that can attract Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak. But we had to get here. And there were times when we as Liverpool fans wanted to punch walls, scream, shout for players who wanted to move past us. But you got to understand where you are in the footballing landscape. And we all think our clubs are the biggest things in the world as fans. But the level of delusion from some Newcastle fans has been appalling. And let's make something really clear here, Newcastle fans. You fucking hypocrites will be screaming Isak's name if he doesn't leave and doesn't get a move. And come November, December, scoring goals for you. You will be running to the club shop like the good little fanboys to buy your Isak shirts, to say we love Alexander Isak, and to forget everything that happened this summer, the burning of the shirts, the calling him a rat, the putting banners up outside. You fucking hypocrites will celebrate this man to the ends of the earth if he starts banging in goals again for your team. And you know I'm right. And here's why you know I'm right. Because I do it. Because I'm a hypocrite. But like I've said, I have the self-awareness to know I'm a hypocrite. Some of you fuckers don't seem to know that. This one. Chelsea donating their money to Jota's family. Really class gesture. Absolutely class gesture. Spoke about it in the video this morning. Really, really class gesture from Chelsea Football Club and their players. Cannot speak highly enough of it. And, you know, I'm sure it's much appreciated by certainly all the Liverpool fan base. Yeah, brilliant gesture. Cannot say, you know, well done enough to Chelsea for that one. Shane said, I meant to say earlier, fair play to Chelsea and their players for donations to Jota's family. A classy, classy act. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. to Chelsea Football Club, their fans and their players, thank you for an unbelievably beautiful gesture. It really does mean a lot, and it's a beautiful, beautiful gesture. Saunders said Brentford getting Utara, then letting Visa go to Newcastle, which in the end leads to the Mighty Reds getting Isak, Mark Guehi and Leoni. I'm dreaming. It's going to be incredible. The idea of Liverpool in one summer, maybe signing Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkes, Leoni, Mamardashvili, young Will Wright. I don't know what's going on. Where are we? It's mad. I don't recognise this window, but I'm very grateful for it. Jeff said he's not ours, lad. I never said he was, mate. But what I'm saying is it's hilarious watching the state of them. And I've said this as well. I'm not going to lose a second sleep whether we sign Isak or not. Isak's the cherry on the icing for me. When we signed Ekitike, in my mind, I wasn't expecting us to go for Isak again. I thought that ship had sailed. So this is just bonus territory for me at this point. No, I would say we need one more forward. No matter what happens, we need one more forward because we have left ourselves short numerically. Gary said, do we let Mo continue taking pens? If not, who? Look, I'm not going to lie, Gary. I'm not comfortable with him taking pens at this point. For the first time, I'd say it's a conversation. Nothing I can do to make the difference or change the answer, but let's ask. Because I think it's for the first time I can remember in a while, I think it is a question. So, one sec. So, should Salah continue taking or keep taking our penalties? Now, I don't want to ask you who should take them because, I'm just intrigued to think if you think it should be still Mo or somebody else. All I can say, Gary, is I've always had nerves when he steps up to take a penalty. Scored plenty of them, by all means he has. But I've never felt the same level of assurance with Mo standing over a penalty as I would with Jimmy Milner or even Stevie G back in the day, who would have also missed a few. Always just felt a bit more confident with Mo, and again, this is just a perception. It always feels like a bit of a hit and hope rather than I know what I'm doing. Now, again, I could be massively doing him dirty with that, but that's how I feel looking at it. It just feels like head down, drill it sometimes and see what happens. Andy said, hi Craig, if you could pick a fantasy team of past and present of Liverpool players to watch live now, who would the team be? Oh God. I'm going to try and do it for you, Andy, as quick as I can. Pepe Reina in goal, because I always enjoyed watching his distribution and the ball at his feet. Alisson's a better goalkeeper for what it's worth, but this is for my own enjoyment. So Pepe Reina in goal. I'll be honest and say a right back, it's probably Trent, because whatever else I think of him as a fella, his ability on the ball is unquestionable. So I'd probably still have Trent at right back. Left back, Robertson. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Andy Robertson because I think he has it all. I enjoyed Fabio Aurelio, although he was injury prone a lot. Risa had great moments as well, and we've had some great left backs over the years. But I'm going to say, but the question wasn't who's better. So a lot of you seem to be different in the comments. The question wasn't who's the best 11. He said, if you could pick a fantasy team, past and present, to watch, who would you pick? And that's what I'm answering. I'm answering who I would enjoy watching and the way they play. So, Trent at right back, Robbo at left back, Sami Hyypiä and Virgil van Dijk as the centre-backs. In midfield, holding midfield player of Alonso. Then I would go for Gerrard and... Right, I'm going to be greedy. And I'm going to say Gerrard and John Barnes. I'm going to shoehorn Barnes into a number 10 position. So I'm going to say Alonso, Gerrard and John Barnes. And then right-hand side, I'm going to go Salah. Left-hand side, I'm going to go Robbie Fowler. And I'm going to say Luis Suarez, but genuinely coin toss between him and Ian Rush. But again, it's about my enjoyment and what might unfold on the pitch. So I'm going to lean with Luis Suarez. But yeah, again, I could probably give you another 11 that I'd be equally happy with. That doesn't include a single one of the players I just mentioned. And I'd still enjoy watching it as well. And for fun, let's do it then. So Alisson, Finnan, Carragher. I'm trying to do what people I haven't put in. Finnan, Carragher, Konate. Left side, Aurelio. Midfield, Mascherano. Who else would I like in midfield that I haven't put in there? Jan Molby, Ronnie Whelan. Right side, Dalglish. Centre, Rush. Left side, McManaman. And I could probably do a third one if I could throw Thiago in there as well. So yeah, loads. There's loads and loads and loads, and it depends on how far back I want to go. And but that's the joy of being a Liverpool fan, isn't it? We could do this all day and have 10 good 11s. Lolly. Hi Craig, can you tell us about new rules, changes of VAR? I don't know of any particular new changes, Lolly. Unless I've missed something really obvious, mate. What's this one? So, Romano said, Newcastle are now in a position where they have to make a decision on Isak. They're still looking for a striker. Yana Gefjortov said, Ori Isak, how long before Isak extends his contract at Newcastle and the lost son is forgiven and they live happily ever after, at least for a season? Again, this would be hilarious because that could happen. You know, there is situations in football where that has happened. And then the player signs a deal with a release clause and they leave in a year. And then he starts banging them in and the Newcastle fans are standing and applauding the same player whose jersey they were burning and they were calling a rat. But either way, it'll show them up to be hypocrites. So let's wait and see. Kelly, how are we, my dear? Lovely to see you. That evening, young Craig. Always look on the bright side of life. Whoop, whoop. Always, Kelly. Always try to. And the Reds are back in action tomorrow. So what's not to love about that? Sexy shirt this year's one. It's a beauty, Will. It's a beauty. And not mad on the creamy coloured one. Not really a lover of that one, Will. But do love the home one and the green one. The green shirt is also sexy. Wish it was the away one. Yeah, so do I. I can't wait. I'm going to get the green one with the Champions League badges. Right, here are some of the new laws that we were talking about. So, changes to the IFAB laws. Captain's only approach is one of them. So, Lolly, just to answer the question that you asked a moment ago. So, now captains are the only ones allowed to talk to the referee about the decisions. The 8-second rules for a goalkeeper. If a goalkeeper keeps possession of the football in his hands for more than 8 seconds, a corner kick is going to be awarded. That's one change. Drop ball restarts. If play is stopped with the ball inside the penalty area, this will mean a drop ball to the goalkeeper to restart. If a stop with a ball outside the penalty area, it'll be a drop ball at the stopping point for the team who would have gained possession. Double touch penalties. An accidental double touch of a penalty by the kicker would mean that the spot kick should be retaken. Inadvertent interference. If, without intending to interfere with play unfairly, a team official substituted or sent off player or a player who is temporarily off the field of play touches the ball while it is still in play, when it is clearly leaving the field of play, this is penalised with an indirect free kick and there is no sanction. Assistant referees positioning at penalty kicks. At a penalty kick, the assistant referee will remain on the touchline and take a position in line with the goalkeeping penalty mark. Maintain high threshold for penalising challenges. Maintain high threshold for VAR intervention. Improving in-stadium VAR experience. So as part of that, one of the core aims would be to improve the communications and transparency to supporters. So basically, not a whole lot, mate. The 8-second rule for the goalkeepers, which it'll be interesting to see if it's enforced or not, and a couple of other small things. Right, where are we at? Which one was I at here? This one, Jordan. Said, hey Craig, good job on the channel. Thank you, sir. Love it. I got into Liverpool because of Michael Owen and he's always been my favourite player. Yes, controversial. What player got you into supporting the Reds? No player. It was the loss to Arsenal in the 89 season where they beat us 2-0 for the First Division title. It was that game that made me become a Liverpool fan, and it was the respect the Liverpool crowd showed that Arsenal team who picked us to the title at Anfield. That was it for me. Then when I started to learn more about the club, the Irish roots and the connection, it made a lot of more sense to me as an Irish person. But if I'm talking about a player that I first remember, it's probably John Barnes. The first time I remember looking at it, John Barnes, and I was there on the pitch and thinking, wow, holy shit. What a physical specimen and what a player. So I'd probably say John Barnes. How will our spending in this window impact our future transfer windows? Do you think we'll continue to go all out every window? So when we spoke with Mo Chatra of Anfield Index and Money Talks podcast, I was worried that this summer's spending may have a detrimental impact moving forward. But apparently, while I can't tell you what the appetite will be to spend money, the ability to spend money will be there. But I think if we're being fair about this, it should only be squad maintenance moving forward. So, 1 or 2 players in a window. Maybe, let's say 3 over the course of a season. That's probably what we'll need moving forward. So, the ability will still be there. And I guess the hope would be that it's adding quality in at this point moving forward. Maybe one top-notch player every now and again and no more having to fill out the squad. So, yeah, the ability will be there to do it. And that's something I did feel reassured about when I spoke with Mo. Jeff Foster said, Craig, I was talking to the lad saying Michael Owen's favourite player and I said he's not ours. Oh, sorry, Jeff. I agree. For what it's worth, Jeff, I agree. I know the gentleman said Michael Owen was his favourite player, but I don't really have a lot of time for Michael Owen, to be honest with you. I do think we get 3 more after Leoni, Guehi, Isak and another forward. Arneslot's comments today. Also, Craig, love your channel, mate. Always watching. Sondra, you've been a long-term viewer, mate, so appreciate you still being here. Yeah, his comments today absolutely made me take notice because I was thinking 1 forward and that'll be the end of it. Like, not even a debate. But to hear him say we need at least 1 more forward, it certainly left the door open for the possibility of more. Oh, lads, this is 50-50. 50-50 on the penalty vote, so do keep voting. Should Mohamed Salah keep taking our penalties, yes or no? It's tied at 50-50, so do keep voting. Carl, so we need a video from John W. Henry where he invested the Coutinho money. I'd leave Salah on penalties when Maka isn't on the pitch, different level, in my opinion. Understand, and like I said, I'm open-minded with the penalty situation. I'm certainly not here screaming saying he has to be taken off them, but I do feel it's at least a conversation now. And for what it's worth, Maka would be my go-to as well if I was to look for an alternative player to take one. And where the Coutinho money is, I love the joke that we keep talking about the Coutinho money still being there. Scratching Claimer said, I realise is that we miss Trent's all we miss is Trent's diagonals as crosses from deep to get attackers scoring chances. Konate wants a new challenge, final chapter. And look, I'm fine about that. Sincerely, no bad feelings to me whatsoever. If Konate wants to go to Madrid, it is what it is. I just couldn't fathom a reason to go to like Chelsea, let's say, or Arsenal, or anybody in the Prem. But if somebody wants another challenge in their career, again, like I was saying about Trent, just be upfront and honest and talk to the fans about it. And that's all I'd ever need from a player. I'm not naive enough to think that every player that ever pulls on a Liverpool shirt thinks this is the last club in their career. So if Konate thinks, yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit in the Bundesliga, a bit in the Prem, maybe go to La Liga, maybe finish up back in Ligue 1 or something, no problem with that. I just would like the players to be open with the fan base about it. At least when they've made their mind up to come out and explain what they want to do. And I honestly don't think there'd be too much fuss about it. The real Johnny Sin said, Chelsea making even more dough from the sale of Omari, sell-on clause, and Guehi's sale will make Chelsea money too. Best run club in the world, I have to say. I certainly wouldn't call them the best run club in the world, but they are very good at generating cash. No argument there. And they have, when I say I wouldn't consider them the best run club in the world, what I mean by that is you also have to have some level of continuity in the squad to build something, to play together. Because if you listen to even like the likes of Mourinho talking about that Porto team, or some of the biggest things Jurgen Klopp claimed was that able to keep teams together and keep some of the players that were at Liverpool and stuff. So they do need to sort that side of it out. It'll be interesting to see if they keep having this churn of players for the next 3-4 years. But certainly understand where you're coming from with regards to the money they've made from sales and stuff. They've made a lot. Chris said, do you like Keane as a pundit? I hated him as a player, basically because he was a United captain, but I can't believe how I like watching him. I know most is an act, but he says it how it is and rips into United. I go back and forth with Roy Keane. Loved him as a player, by the way, as an Irishman as well, of course, absolutely loved him in a green shirt, and I thought he was a linchpin in that United midfield. As a pundit, I go back and forth. Sometimes I think he's a bit too cartoonish, but other times I appreciate his bluntness. Same I would have appreciated with, let's say, Graham Souness on occasion, although I also felt sometimes he went too far. So I wouldn't turn off the telly if he was on, put it that way. He wouldn't be my favourite, but I'd listen to him. It'd certainly be somebody who I wouldn't be going on, no, not him again. But he wouldn't be in my top 3. Evening, Craig. The amount of time it's taken Konate to show his intention is enough for me. Either say bye or let him rot. Get Guehi in. Simple. I get that. I'm just concerned if it goes into the new season or past the window. There will have to come a time where all sides come to the conclusion that he's not going to sign or they agree a new deal. And I don't know when the cutoff point may be, but I totally understand where you're coming from, and I don't think you're on your own with that thinking. Yeah, it doesn't feel to me like he wants to stay either, mate. For what it's worth, I don't know the answer, Stephen, but it definitely doesn't feel to me that he wants to stay. I did get a little bit hopeful over the past couple of weeks because things had gotten quiet, and I thought, okay, maybe we're going to get some positive news here. But the more and more Mark Guehi's name keeps coming up, the more doubts I have about it. Paul Donnelly said, Craig, if we get another attacker after Isak, who would you want it to be? That's a really good question. So I guess when I'm giving you the answer, I have to think of what's realistic. So if we bring in Alexander Isak, Ugo Ekitike, we progress young Rio up to the first team. What type of profile of player do we need is the question that I would ask. Do we need a young player like a Fofana, or do we need somebody to fill the Chiesa level of experience role that may be missing, or Diaz experience. You don't want to have too many young players in the squad either. It's nice to have a balance of, been here, done it, and, still a future ahead of them. So somebody in the caliber of Mark Guehi, but in an attacking sense. Somebody who's 24, 25, had a career already. Somebody like that probably would make sense. Somebody, as the chat said there, Aaron, versatile. Somebody who can play in a few different positions across the front line. That would make sense to me, although who that is, God, I haven't got a clue. Jared Bowen. Oh, I love Bowen. He's getting a bit old now, but I've always been a huge admirer of Jared Bowen. Anybody else feel another surprise signing like Leoni, a market opportunity and a value signing that's not been named? Well, I'm wondering, dude, about the attackers. It's gone very quiet, unless I've missed something on the situation with the dude from Lyon. Sorry, Malik Fofana. It's gone very quiet there. Oh, also, what do we think? I can't believe I didn't talk about this last night, by the way. What do we think of Jack Grealish to Everton? That's one that, if I was an Everton fan, I'd be really looking forward to. I just get a feeling Grealish will work at Everton. I think the fan base and him will connect, and I just think, I don't know why, I get a feeling that's going to work out for Everton and Grealish. Something about it just feels like a good fit. Be interesting to see how it works out, but I have to say, something about that makes sense to me. Is there still a chance of Rodrigo joining? I've never thought it was likely. Of course, there's a chance. There's also a chance that Savinho goes to Spurs and Manchester City move for Rodrigo. I think the closer we get to the end of the window, the more unlikely a signing that would have as much technicalities involved in it and baggage like Rodrigo, the less likely it becomes. I wouldn't say that's a get it done in 3 or 4 days type of signing. Can't stand looking at Cara after that spit, said Joseph Purvis. So, look, it wasn't great from Cara, but we all make mistakes in life. And he apologised. He was rightly criticised for it. But, like I said, we all do things in life that we regret. And if you're sincere and contrite in your apology, there isn't really much else you can do other than make sure you don't do it again. So I thought Gary Neville was a good mate to him as well at that time when it happened. Ian, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Jazzy Hawk said, I think Brentford signing a forward just now is the domino we needed for some movement for Isak since Visa wants Newcastle. Yeah, so Utara to Brentford is certainly going to move things along, like you've said. So he'll go there. They'll probably sell Visa to Newcastle. But I still don't think that will be enough. I don't think Johan Visa is going to be enough for Newcastle to look to sell Isak. I think it'll take somebody in a higher bracket like Nicholas Jackson for 60, 70 million. Looking great in the shirt, Craig. Thank you, mate. 3-0 win tomorrow. I don't know. I can't bring myself to predict a clean sheet, Danny. I went 3-1 in my prediction. The preview is out today, by the way, so if you haven't got a chance, please do give it a watch and let me know what you think. But yeah, I'd take your 3-0 over my 3-1, Danny, every day of the week. Ian Parker said Alvarez would be the one for me, but not asking to play in England at the moment is an issue. Oh, right at the start of the window, Ian, when we knew we were looking for a striker, he was the one at the very top of my wish list. And then, of course, when we find out that it's really unlikely that he'd be willing to move back, yeah, I kind of lost any hope of it. But I won't lie, he was my number one target. Isak would have been second, but I just don't think it's possible, unfortunately. Alan Said Craig, buzzing for tomorrow, 55th birthday too. Happy birthday, Alan. That's awesome, my man. Wishing you many happy returns. Seat in the Upper Annie Road, Diogo tribute too. GBNF tickets in the bag for the roadshow in October. Nice. That's class. Enjoy and happy birthday once again, Alan. Really do appreciate you dropping in. Right, folks, I'm going to start getting ready to record the late night news update video. But remember, tomorrow, if you want to take part in our player ratings video, make sure that you scan the QR code there to join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, because that's where we'll be posting the link. We'll be live from 6:45 tomorrow evening for the watch along. David said, I see Newcastle fans are not saying nothing about Visa pushing for a move to Newcastle. Of course not, David. Nor are the media talking much about it, because, you know, they only do it for the big clubs. Sean McCaffrey said, what did you think of Silver's response to not clapping during the 1920 Guard of Honour? Most unlikable player in the Prem. I agree with what you've said, but I also appreciated his honesty. You know, at least he's not pretending to be something he isn't. He's a bad loser, and he admits he's a bad loser. So, you know, I kind of respected that at least he owned up to it. But yeah, I don't like him very much, Sean. Like yourself, mate, he's not an easy guy to like, is he? Right, ladies and gentlemen, you're all amazing. Thank you for another great show. Thank you for giving up some of your time to have a chat with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I owe you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow at 6:45. Craig, you should play number 9. That wouldn't end well, dude. That would not end well. There'd be no movement there, I tell you. None whatsoever. But appreciate you all. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.